For this Mickey assignment, you're going to see that on Google Classroom you have the Mickey picture, you have the swatches for at the end to put the correct colors, and then you have the steps that I've added. These steps do not have to be followed. If you have your own way to do this activity, if you can create Mickey another way using the Pathfinder and the shapes, that is fine. This is more so for anyone who needs the extra help to create Mickey. So what you're going to do is you're going to be downloading the file image of Mickey. So open a new window, press download. You're going to go into Illustrator, make a new document by going to File, New. You're going to make it landscape mode and one artboard like this. Then you just get your downloads opened and drag Mickey directly into your file. I do suggest having him there that you can trace, and then later you can go and you can remove him. What you should do is lower the opacity so that way you can still have something that you can trace, but it won't be in your way. And then go to Object Lock Selection, and that will just make it so that you're not getting interrupted by Mickey. Now you can use your layers panel. I prefer to use mine. If you don't want to, you can do everything together on one layer. I like to make things on different layers so that way I can simply just close the picture or shut off something if I need to. So regardless, you can just you can work on no layers, just work on the one layer, or you can make your own. It's up to you. I will be in this video making layers. You can skip that step if you do not want to. It will just help to be more organized. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shaped options here, and I'm going to click on the little tab to open this and have this open. The other thing you want to have open is your Pathfinder panel. Okay, so you should have these three panels open for the beginning of the assignment, and then at the end, color. Right now we don't need the color, but I will leave it here. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make your first oval that's going to be tracing Mickey's ears. Okay, once you create one, and I'm going to have, I'm going to be turning off the fill so I can see my shape. But once you have one, you can just duplicate it because they should be the same size. So there you go. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add color to these so that way we can point out and you can see what I'm drawing. Normally when you're tracing, I would recommend having no fill and only a stroke. But once you have all of your items like this that you can see, then you turn on the fill. So the fill blocks what's behind it, as you can see with these the pink parts. What you do is once you have all the black parts, so his ears and the back of his head, you're going to select the three shapes and go to Unite. And that's going to turn it into one shape. So I'm going to add color so you can see the shape. Okay. And now I'm going to move that out of my way. You could also make a new layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a layer for all of his the back of his face, and then I'll make another layer for the actual pieces of his face, like his eyes, nose, mouth. So the next thing you do is we have to draw the white part of his face. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use the oval tool, and again I'm going to shut off my fill until I'm done tracing. So I'm making two ovals. The way I did this was I made my first oval and then I duplicated it to make the second one for this part of his face. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll notice that if you don't make it perfect, then it may look a little weird when you go to finish it later on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that's the same oval I just did. So I made another copy of it, and I'm going to fit it to be in here. Again, if it's off, it's fine. It just might look weird to you when you're done. So if you're a perfectionist, or if you need, maybe need to follow exactly the lines, like if it bothers you, then maybe you'd want to play around with this more. I'm doing a quick rough design for you so you can see how to do it. So I had 1, 2, I made 3, and then 4, and we still have some space here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, and this is why in my PDF I have the different shapes and different colors, so that was easier for you guys to see where the shapes meet. So when we're using the Unite option, the Pathfinder options, the idea that you want to keep in mind is that if they're not overlapping, you're going to be missing pieces. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to actually zoom out, and I want to show you an example of what would have happened if I didn't add this 5th piece. So if I didn't add this 5th piece and I went to unite, this is what would have happened. Okay, it would have been missing the center piece as well as his chin. So that's why it's important that you have all of these overlapping pieces. Now I'm going to press the unite button, and now I have my other piece. Okay, and I can add this back so we can see it. Okay, and this now is when I'm going to shut off that layer. Okay, and I'm going to make a new layer. Again, you don't have to, you could just move everything to the side, but to me this is the easiest way to do it. Now we're going to use the oval to make his nose. Again, I suggest no fill so that you can see him. You know, do your best to make it meet up perfectly like this. Okay. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move the nose out of my way so you can see what I'm about to do. So what I'm about to do is his eyes. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. So again, with this, I'm going to do a duplication. After I make one eye, I'm going to duplicate and flip it for the other side. So what you have to do for this is you have to make that outline, and then you have to make the pupil. Okay, and then you have to make a shape that lines up with this piece over here. Okay, so like this. So you should have 3 ovals at this point, like this. And now I'm going to select all 3, and we're going to press minus front. This may or may not, okay, so see, I was going to say this may or may not work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this shape 2 times. So 1, 2, and I'm going to select the shape and then the pupil, and I'm going to do minus front. Let me just see. I don't like how it looks. Hold on. You know what? I got to move this down a little bit. Okay, like that. I didn't like how it cuts, so that's why I undid that. Okay, and now I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up with the pupil so that it cuts the shape the same place. Okay, so select don't select the pupil, select the outside outline, and then this little oval at the bottom, minus front. And now you have your pupil and your eye. Okay, and we're gonna take it, we're gonna duplicate it, and I'm using my keyboard shortcut Option key and clicking and dragging. You can also do edit, copy, edit, paste, or Command C, Command V. Then we're gonna go to Object, Transform, Reflect, and you wanna do it vertical. And then you're just gonna line it up with the one that's here. You might have to play around with it. It is possible that, oh, I didn't actually make it correct the first time. So I actually made mine a little off. That's why it didn't match perfectly, but I'm just gonna play around with the positioning, and there we go. All right, now the next thing is this thing above his nose, which is right above below his eyes. So what you'll notice is after we do this, it won't matter if these are exactly perfect because they'll be hidden behind this shape. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a circle that matches up with this thing that's on above his nose, below his eyes. And you're gonna make 2 of them, like this. And you wanna make sure the one that the second one that I just made, it's cutting at the right location, because we only want where the black is to be left, okay? So now I'm gonna take my 2 shapes, I'm gonna go minus front, and you should be left with something like this. Now, had I moved this top one over, or I like rotated a little bit, it would give me a better cut. So I'm gonna do that again, minus front, and there we go. Okay, so we have our 2 pupils, and then we have our eyes. And hold on, what happened to my pupils? Okay, so what happened is they're in the back, so I'm gonna just send them to back. So object, arrange, send. You can do send backward, because if you send it to back, it might go behind his head for some reason. So just in case. Okay. Now I have his nose. And the only like I said before, the only reason that I have everything colorized in the document is because I wanted to show the difference between the different shapes you're going to be making. Okay. Now you probably could get away with using this for his smile. I'm gonna just do a new one so that way it matches up nicely. So again, no fill, just a stroke. And I'm gonna line this up with the smile line, like this. Okay, like that. I'm gonna do minus front again, Command X. Like that, okay? And I'm gonna make a copy. And then I'm gonna do reflect. And you could even make another one if you wanted to make another one, actually. Maybe I didn't need to reflect that, let's see. Yeah, this one I didn't need to reflect, actually. But you could also make another one from scratch. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna make a circle, and this time it's gonna line up with underneath this smile line. And the reason is because I'm gonna cut out the top part first before I add this bottom part. Like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna duplicate the shape. And then I'm gonna take the two shapes and I'm gonna minus front, okay? You could also use your direct selection tool if you need to while we're working on this, to make it better if it's not meeting your, you know, like I said before, if it's bothering you that it's not perfect, you can simply take the direct selection tool and just mess around with your path like that, okay? Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the shape of the bottom of his mouth, where his tongue is. So what I'm gonna actually do first, because I'm seeing that I have this piece that's sticking out, is I'm gonna actually unite these two circles together. And then I'm gonna take another circle and then I'm gonna cut the top part off, okay? So 3 circles. I might not have had that in my booklet. Okay, now I have these two pieces. These you're gonna unite, and now you would have his mouth. Okay, so I'm gonna undo. Now we're gonna do the tongue, okay? So you're gonna make your first circle. How do I wanna do this? Hold on one second. Let's see. Hold on one second. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. If I do it this way. I want to see something because I don't remember how I did it. How did I make his tongue? Okay, so it looks like I kind of connected them. Huh. Okay. So I'm gonna do it the way I think I did it originally, which is like that, and then just taking another circle. But I'm gonna actually go a step forward and show you how I would fix this. So I made my second circle. I'm gonna do minus front. Oh, sorry. Intersect, sorry. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these little things that I made. Okay. I'll line it up here. Okay, but I'm gonna bring this to front. You don't have to do this. I'm just being a little bit picky. Minus front, and then I'm gonna take my direct selection tool and try to fix it a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I probably would have left it before, but being that I did the work right, I'm just gonna leave it. Okay. And now I'm gonna put on all my shapes so we can see all our shapes. And now this is where the last part comes in, is trying to figure out what colors everything should be. So you can go here, and I'm gonna open both. Just give me a second. Here we go. Okay. So this is just gonna be black, his ears. And then his face is supposed to be black stroke with a fill of E8, D, 9C4, and it should be a 4-point stroke. Okay. His tongue should be a red color, so you could pick any red color, but I'm going to pick the one that's here. D5, 2, 1, 2, 6. And then we're going to shut off the stroke. This should just be black, and we've just made Mickey. Okay. So going back to his picture that's behind him, you can, if you did use layers, you could just shut off the layers. If you didn't use layers, then you would go to Object, Unlock All. The picture, you'll be able to see the picture gets highlighted with that X, and you can just simply press Delete. Okay. When you save this file, you're gonna go to File, Save As. You're gonna save it as a PDF file for me. You should also save an Illustrator file for yourself. The name of the file should be Mickey _ and your name. Okay. You press Save. You go to Google Classroom, and you're gonna submit it on the right side of your screen.